Hello, I'm Roger Bisbee from Skill Builder. I'm back with my mate Dan Cox, who is the inventor of the ultimate roofing square. Now, a lot of people have bought this roofing square, having seen it on Skill Builder and other places, and it seems to transform the job. It seems to make it simpler. But can a dumb plumber use it? Can a stupid bloke pitch a roof? This is what we're going to find out today. I'm going to do it and Dan's going to watch me. I've got that safety net, if you like, but I'm itching to have a go at this. If you're doing something like an extension, then you're probably going to have a lean-to roof on it. This is a porch, same principle exactly. So we need to find a pitch. Now, in this case, we're governed by this window above us. We can't put the same pitch on as we've got on the house because we've got to come in under that window, leave room for some tiles, leave room for some flashing. You know the routine. So we've got to lay it down. So what we've done is we've put a piece of timber up, giving ourselves a kind of target where we think we need to go, and all we're interested in is the tiles that we're using go down to 22.5 degrees. That's a large format pan tile, so all we're interested in is coming above that 22.5 degrees to make sure that we've got enough pitch there. And so we've put this up here and think, okay, let's give that one a go. So we take Dan's square,
24 degrees there,
so that will be our plumb cut here. So we use that to plumb it up, if you like. So we now know that this rafter is laying at 24 degrees. So 24, even I know 24 is more than 22, so we're happy with that. We can go with that. So this square makes it very easy to do. So now we know that we're happy with that 24 degrees. What we need to know now is our run. So we take it from the outside of the wall plate, which we bedded on last night, and we just measure out there, and we get ourselves a measurement.
It's 1372.
1372.
Yeah, 1372.
If I set this wall plate up, then it should be 1372 on the other end. And it's very important, by the way, it's very important that you do this and that you get this plate square and level, because if you don't, you're going to be cutting every single rafter a different length, and the whole thing's going to end up in a mess. So 1372, my friend. Now, without maligning bricklayers, I'd say that some of them are good at putting plates on square and some of them ain't. So find yourself one that is good or do it yourself. But whatever you do, check it.
So 24 degree pitch roof.
Yeah.
So the number is 1095.
You got that from your chart or
from
your
the
app?
chart, and it's on the app.
Okay, right.
So what that 1095 basically means is for every metre we're going to go out, 24 degrees coming up, that length, it would be 1 metre and 95 mil.
Okay.
Up on the hypotenuse.
Yep, yep.
So we've got 1372 from the outside of the building to the outside of the wall plate.
Yep.
Less the ridge, 45 mil.
That's that.
That gives us 1327.
Okay.
So that's the number we're going to work with.
Yep.
So 1327, plumb down from there, times it by the 1095, gives us 1453. That's the length of rafter. 1453 from the top point there to plumb up
that bit there. Okay.
1453.
So we'll write that
length
down, that magic number.
Yep.
I'm going to cut it long for the first one.
For the first one.
So we won't deduct that bit. We'll cut it longer and we'll check it.
And have a look at it.
If the rain stops. So you can do this plumb cut with an ordinary circular saw using Dan's square as a guide. And I quite like doing that, but as Dan's got this beautiful saw all set up, we're going to use this. So we just set that up, lock it off, and now we're ready to do the plumb cuts. Lovely saw, that's a lovely saw. I'm doing a full length one. I'm coming off the very tip. This is why Dan likes to do it this way round. Cut that plumb cut first, then you've got something to hook onto, yeah? We want 150. That's there. So we've got that 150 there. Now we get Dan's super duper square, and we've got it set for the pitch. So we just bring it along to the 150. And this is the magic part, isn't it? Here is our bird's mouth, already cut. So we always do it with the bow up, so that will be the top, because as the weight of the roof pushes it down, hopefully it straightens out. So let's just go through this just once more because it's all marked out. It's really nicely made, this. We've got roof pitch written on here. We've got an arrow. These are our common rafter angles. Okay, so this is set up for our common rafter angle on what we had, which was 24 degrees. So it set the arrows on 24 degrees here. So we go down to our 1453 mark, which is there, and then we mark up our bird's mouth, which is set at 1/3 of the depth of a timber here, and every time we do that it's exactly the same. So long as we get that measurement right from the top down to here, we're right. Now if you wanted to check it, you could just take one of your previous rafters, and a lot of people do this. A lot of people will cut one good rafter, check it out, they'll line that up on the end, and then they'll bring their rafter into play there, and you can see what you've got is the same. The only thing about doing that is if you've got a slight twist on the rafter, or you've got some, you can finish up getting a tiny discrepancy, but quite honestly, it's fine to do that. One of the reasons Dan invented this square, say he's doing a 6-metre rafter, he doesn't want to be lifting that on, lining it up, walking up and down, lining it up, marking it off. He can just do it with his square and a tape measure. There is no right and wrong, it's just whatever works, whatever's easiest for you.
Like a pro.
Not quite like a pro, but
I don't know.
we're getting there. We don't need many of these actually, do we? This is a roof with three common rafters, all the rest are jacks, which is a lot more work. So let me just show you what I think we've got to do here, and then Dan can correct me. When you're putting up a hip, you need to put it equidistant with your last commons on the right angle. So what I'm going to do is I'll measure from the wall to the corner here, and that just nicely lands on 54 inches. So if I go 54 inches there, and we put a mark on there, my glamorous assistant is marking it up. You're doing well, Dan.
Thanks, Rog.
Now, we're going to plant a rafter against that wall there, which is going to come up to our wall plate, which would be as if that were the ridge. So we need to put one there. So that has to come on that side
That's it.
of the mark, doesn't it? So
Yeah,
they're both on the same. So basically all we're interested in is getting two rafters on here which are equidistant, and then we can do the magic bit, which is the hip. So I'm happy with that.
And then if we go 45mm there,
That
is our rafter.
Yeah.
So I can get the ridge measurement from there to run up the other end.
Just check that is 54. That's 54. 54. Okay.
Yep.
And that means that side.
Yep. So
Yeah.
45mm off there.
Where's that speed square gone?
That's it. So
Okay.
our ridge length should be that.
Yeah.
So it should be about 975, 974.
Yeah. 975.
975. And we just put one in the middle. It should be around the 400 centres. But we've got, let's go inches as well, 35, 17.5. It's a little bit over 400. There'll be
Well,
about.
that's okay, because you can go to 600, can't you?
It's only a small.
Yeah,
It's only a small
yeah.
roof, so
We're going to have 2x1 battens on it.
yeah, it's only
and
little.
they're
That'd be fine.
They're 5-inch
Yeah,
timbers. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
we'll stick
my
one
friend.
there.
That's good. All right. Well, that's so. Once we get those set up, they're all jacks.
They're all jacks
Back
there.
to there. So
Yeah.
we're going to go 400,
400.
centres off that.
Yep.
And whatever our tiddler is on the end. Is
Yeah, a
that
little
right?
one on there. Yeah, so we've got
Don't
one
worry
now.
about whatever that lands
One.
up at, yeah.
2.
So what Dan does every time he marks on the timber, to show you which side of the line
Yep,
the
there.
rafter is going. It's very
gonna sit on
important that
there.
you do that, because if you don't, you end up putting one the wrong side of it, throws everything out.
1, 2, 3. So I want 6 jacks. You've got 3 long ones there, haven't you? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So that's where the hip's going to land.
Yeah, I think you want a 3 metre length,
Point.
because that's like 2, 6 there. So you want a 3 metre length.
Like 2-3 metres.
2, 3 metres.
8.
7, 7 or 8. Yeah.
Which?
Whatever you like.
Well, which is better?
Well, 8's stronger, but it's not a big roof, is it? So.
No, it's just what the landing on, because I know that when you cut the compound mitre on, it's longer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a.
So will it be?
It's that length there. That's the length of it there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Good coat.
That is the length.
I don't want to get an 8 if.
No, so if you've got 7.
Because it's all money.
Yeah, exactly.
The timber.
Yeah, it's like I'll get away with a 6 there, Roger, wouldn't you?
That's what these are.
They're 5s.
Oh, they're 5, of course they are, yeah. Okay, so the 6s, yeah? You happy with 6s?
Yeah.
I'll get 7. I'll get 7.
If you've got 7, that'd be
I'll
good.
get 7. 150 by 50. 3 more 3 6s, yeah?
Yeah.
3 by 3.6. 125 by 50. 1, 2, 3, 4 straps.
Plate straps, yeah.
4 straps. Wall plate we've got.
Fascians off it, you getting it today?
I've got fascias.
Have you?
Yeah. 4 straps.
I've got some screws to screw the ridge up. Got nails. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to mark that down there, just up that part there. I'm going to measure that. That's our height above plate, which we're going to want a bit later on for our hips.
Yeah.
So that is, it's about 89 mil. Yeah, 89 mil.
89 mil height above plate. I shall write that down.
There's your marker pen there.
Thank you. HAP 89.
HAPPY. Took 90. Go up a mil.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, go up a mil.
Right, now in theory, my friends, if everything's good, that's going to fit in there.
Well, you just got to.
Mate, it's pretty good.
And we're going to check that for level.
Pretty good, but not quite.
You want to go down a bit, Roger, I want to come up.
That's me, man. I'm there.
Yeah, but that's running out with the brickwork, look. So
what's the game?
I'm going to go up and you're going to go down a little bit.
We're going to fix these first.
Yeah, I'm going to get a couple of takes through now. I think I'm going to get a couple.
Okay, a brief interlude between the showers, and we've had some heavy showers here. We've come to do the hip. Now the hip is a different angle to the common rafter, and the only reason it's a different angle is because it travels further. Therefore it's like going up to the same height, but you're taking further to do it, so that would be like going up a shallow hill rather than a steep one. But you can see that makes a different angle. But how we do this, Dan has designed this on his square. If you've got this lovely Mark II version, you get the hip measurement on here as if you were using the common rafter. So we know that we're going for a 24-degree pitch on the main common rafters, if you like. So when we come to the hip, what we do is we go around to here, HIP hip, and we set our, he's got these new knobs on here, we set it down to 24 on the hip, yeah? So there's a 25. We're going to go down one nick on there, and that gives us 24. Now you can see that in true life that's only about 16, 17 degrees, but that doesn't matter a jot because we don't live in that world.
I should say these vary a little bit because there's no set uniform pattern for it. It's not like every 24.
Yeah,
it's roughly
not a
8
constant,
to 10 degrees difference, but it does vary. So these markings, that's why they vary a little bit.
It's not a constant, and that's baffled me for ages, and I'm still no clearer on why the correlation between the angle on the hip and the common rafter is not a constant. You can't just say, oh, it's always 9 degrees less or something like that. Which is why, in a way, when you look at those framing squares, if they just set it back a certain amount and say, that's right for the hip, that gives you the hip, I'm not sure that works.
No.
I'm not sure that can be as accurate as this. Jury's out on that. Send it in on your comments if we want to have a bit of a square wars, if you like. But that's my feeling. But that's the way it goes. Right. So the other thing that we've got to do, the very important thing we've got to do, is we need to adjust the bird's mouth as well, because the height of the bird's mouth will be different because we're on a different angle, but we'll show you how we do that in a minute, yeah?
15, 16, 17, about 17 and a half degrees when you're right through. So, because we know it's 17 and a half on there, we can put 17 and a half on the chop saw. And do the plumb cuts.
Yeah.
I just want to check with my chart. That's a chart that you can nick for free off my website. 24 degrees. If you put 17 and a half on the chop saw, or you like speed square and draw a line, that's what the hip plumb cut is.
For corresponding.
For corresponding, but it's on the square, or you can just download that off the website and
Off your website.
off my website, and then you can print it off yourself.
All we do, if we need to get an angle for our plumb cuts, all we do is we take that bit of guide out of the square, and now we can use the square to run through with our circular saw, and we get a perfect angle every time. So that's really quite nice, because if you look how chunky that is, as a saw guide, it's lovely to be able to do that. But it's a little bit awkward because you have to lift the guard on
That saw. It's a bit
on
of
this
a.
particular saw. You've got to be a little bit. You want to be.
You can clamp it on there if you wanted to.
Hold that with a clamp, and then you can lift the guard. But you get the hang of it. You get the idea. Or alternatively, all you need to do is just draw a line and follow the line if you're good enough. So we've got 17.5 degrees on there. Slide it up. I've got to say, by the way, I do love these. I love these. Look at that. It just makes life easy.
We'd have a bigger bench, but I thought as it's a small porch, I've only got a small bench.
Yeah.
I would have made it much longer if they was longer rafters.
Yeah. All right there. Oh no, it's going through that notch. I'll
Yeah,
go
slide it up a little bit.
waste a bit of wood.
That's it.
Cheap enough. Now we need to work out the height above plate. We'd already worked out and written down 90 millimeters, which was the height above plate on the common rafter. But now, because we've changed the angle, we need to know what it is here, and it's 90 millimeters down on that angle. So that is there. Okay? Now, it's very easy to, excuse me, roof pitch. It's very easy to now set this for our bird's mouth according to where we want the height above plate. So you might wonder why we're doing it on the plumb cut up the top. It's because we've got the angle. You see what I'm saying? We've got the angle to measure down. Now we know that. Now we move down to the bird's mouth. And now you can see that we've got this massive great bird's mouth, which is actually more than a third of the depth, but that's just the way it works when you're doing the hip. But we need to know one more thing. From the hip, we need to know the measurement from plumb cut down to the wall plate. But there's another thing we've got to do. We've got to cut an angle on the plumb cut so that it sits in between those two common rafters. You'll see how we do that.
The saw over at 45, I've used a skill saw, flip that over 45. We're going to cut it through at 45, but the angle isn't 45, as you'll see when it's cut, because we're going through on 17.5 degrees. It's a strange one. So there's our angles, but when you put that up there you can see that, oh, it's near enough. It's slightly out a little bit of the 45, but it gives us the perfect angle that what we want.
I've got a question.
Go.
when you had that down the first time and you put the cut,
Yeah.
this point here is dead centre.
It should be dead centre, yeah.
Right. I just wondered how you found that.
Yeah, no, I just squared it down, and then when I put the saw through, I had the saw blade up with that square point. So if that's squared down there, they both meet there and there.
You know then
that should be in the middle.
Centre.
Yeah.
A length from that very point where this goes in to the bird's mouth, which is we're going to measure on the corner of the plate. But quite honestly, because we want to set this down slightly,
It'd be dead right.
from the thing,
Yeah.
we don't need to measure from that point, do we?
We can measure. You can either measure longest point or on the shoulder. It don't matter what way you measure.
If we're going to measure it on the shoulder, we need an offcut.
Then you need an offcut. So we could just measure at longest point.
Longest point. We do it on the longest
point. That's better.
What's that? An adjustment? What are you trying to say, Dan?
That's it.
He's trying to tell me, but I didn't know that in right.
I'm going to hold it.
Just goes on to there.
Oh yeah. Have it there like that.
Oh, how clever. How clever is that?
Right, so that's my end, you're the other end.
1960 down to there. Okay, so wherever that intersects now, so that point where I marked with the pencils in that corner, which if you think about it is exactly where that corner of the plate is. And this is why we break the rule of measuring along the top, because although you could do that, you could set up something, a dummy piece of timber. It's a much easier way of doing it.
Well, it's a little bit more error-free in it doing it this way.
We've got one fixed point there. Absolutely. Now you might wonder why Dan didn't let me cut that piece of wood, and the reason is that we're dodging the rain clouds here, so we've got to make...
Oh, sorry, you can cut the other one.
No, it's fine. We've got to make good progress, because we're only ever 10 minutes away from the downpour. It's a nerve-wracking moment. We're probably going to have to skin a little bit off the bottom to get it to go in. You in that tight?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's not here, quite honestly.
Is it a little bit long?
It's about 2-3 mil long.
That's right, I'm going to take a little bit off this up the top up here. There's like a bit of joinery up here.
Yeah, that's a bit disappointing. Why is that, Dan?
I'll tell you what,
as tight as a...
Yeah, normally when I cut them, they're quite often a couple of mil long.
Oh,
it's just
one of those things.
Bad measuring. No, I just can't.
Happily, because you got the chop saw, you can smidge off.
Just take a little bit off that, and that's a lovely fit up here.
You'd probably live with that. Right. So the other thing is, then we've got to take a bit off
that brick. Oh, when that drops down.
That'll drop down, so would it be best to just take off the second bird's mouth there?
Actually, Rog, once that goes down, that length might be okay. I didn't see that. So, yeah, if we just cut it, do a seat cut, straight out. Nothing too sad, is it?
I think we're good. How are we at the top?
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, that's lovely.
So you got it right first time?
Yeah, I think...
Wicked.
What does it look like there? No, that's lovely, that's perfect. Yeah. I'm redeemed because, you see, here's the point where the novice, if you like, makes the mistake, is I think, oh, it's a bit long, cut a bit off the top, and then when it drops down, we find it's too short. So, no, I'm more than happy with that. That's great. We know this magic number, 1965.
Under there. Then you got it level the end. Right, and just do a nice little arc round there like that. I've marked these out at 350 centres off the main rafter, 350, 350. I could have gone 4s, but the last one would have ended up quite tight in this corner. I wanted to keep it back off the corner a little bit. Whether we put something through there to take the fascia, it won't be very far, but just to keep it away from that corner really. So I just put a nail on there, on the little jack, that sits on there, just holds it up, just so when I nail it, it stops it falling through. And 350 at the top. The hip up there, I always measure to the longest point. So just to get that there, and then sit and then 29 and 1/8 there. For a jack.
What have you found?
My gripe.
You finally found something about this Festool saw.
Well, I
It's
do.
not ideal.
It's
All
very
right.
dull, but I shortened the lead by about a foot because whatever way you wrapped it round there, I couldn't get it. I want it hanging. Like, I don't want it all dangling down there, so I just had to shorten it by about a foot. But I had it round different ways. I tried it a little bit of not quite so tight there and wrapped it round. So yeah, I cut a bit off it so it hangs a bit better.
So what you're saying?
Festool spent hundreds of thousands developing this, and on this one, the lead was too long.
Yeah, you would have thought they'd measured round, found
So
out exactly what the length
I do think
is.
it's been proper, like, OCD, but I just didn't want it hanging, because when you put it down, you're going to end up putting 29 kilos on top of that if it gets in the way, and that's my fault,
I don't
my
think you ought
views.
to ever apologise for being OCD, mate, because that's what you're selling people. You see, if you could just let things go, just go, yeah, that's all right. You'd be a plumber. So I'd like to say that I did this all single-handedly, but I didn't. I could have done, but it would have taken me longer. And because Dan's got places he wants to be and I've got places I want to be, Daniel stepped in and moved it along a bit. But I've got the principles. You know, if you can do one, it's repetition after that. And all I'd say is, if you haven't done it before, but you know, you're fairly handy and you're going to use Dan's square, just don't rush it. Just do not rush it. Go and watch a video, check what you're doing at every stage, because this timber these days is very expensive stuff, and the fewer mistakes you can make, the more money you're going to have to spend on what would I
Food.
say? Food, beer.
Luxuries.
Thanks, Dan, very much,
Thanks, Rog.
mate.
Yeah, no worries.
Come back and see you soon. We're missing you.
Cheers, Ed.